This was kind of a curious take from our old friend Ben Watson, who was on SEC Network uh, overnight, I guess. And this is what Ben had to say about Stetson Bennett. He said, I think Stetson operates better when everyone is on his back. He seems to rise to the occasion when people doubt him. That's what it seems like. Why are you doubting a quarterback that won a national championship? I don't quite know. I'm not sure if it's as uh, steady as it was a year ago. What everybody, I mean, everybody's kind of right, but we're all forgetting at the same time. If you play quarterback at any of these SEC schools, you're going to get criticized. It's just what it is. Expectations are always through the roof. The the vast majority of these guys are five-star quarterbacks, or at least high four-star ones. And you know, when you look at yesterday, and we were coming into this thing off a season of a national championship, there's discussion of complacency, etc. Um, it is hard to say a quarterback can play much better, excuse me, than Stetson did yesterday. I mean, he really was deadly, and I think that uh, looking forward, no matter what happens in the near future with Georgia, if Stetson doesn't play well, he will get grief. That's just what it is. I mean, you're at Georgia, and if you didn't want the spotlight, you'd be somewhere else. And he was somewhere else. I mean, he was at Jones Community College and so forth. But I want to add this real quick while it's on my brain. If you look at Stetson's arms, you can tell he has gotten bigger physically, and it 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 it, it whatever motivates the player works. And in the past, we've seen guys, programs motivate themselves however they can. And, if it works, it works. We've seen this at Clemson a lot where they were the number one team in the country and we're talking like they were underdogs. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. It's a great look back at the 2021 season. Hardcover, 80 pages. If you don't have this on your bookshelf, and I know there's a lot of new people watching, you're missing out. It's got a bunch of stuff about Stetson in there as well. But, just to review, Stetson went yesterday 25 of 31, which is 81%, for 368 yards. That's a career high, two touchdowns, and the one that he kept, which he really fooled me on. He was 8 of 8 on third downs, and 11 different receivers or ball catchers had a catch yesterday. It's an amazing accomplishment for Georgia. I mean, for Stetson and everybody. Here's one thing that Stetson said after the game. He said, what I'm most proud of is the third downs. I mean, that's what we're harping on. Third down, red zone this whole offseason, and we executed. They totally did. And, back to Ben's point, I don't know. I mean, I think Stetson Bennett is one of the few people in college football that can use the disrespect thing without me rolling my eyes because, I mean, why would you respect him at the beginning? What he did at Arkansas in 2020 was uh, they were just so much more comfortable out there. But why would you think a young guy like him could do that? There's reasons why walk-ons don't become stars. It doesn't mean it can't ever happen. Baker Mayfield's a great example of that. Baker Mayfield didn't win the national championship. Stetson did. And but what Ben's saying, Stetson's not going to be able to do that for 15 games again. I mean, you're not going to be 30 games into this and say, "Hey, people are still doubting me." It can't always be the motivation. The motivation has to be to play for yourself, play for your team, and I guess play for your school and state. But it really should be in that order. If you're not playing to make yourself better, if you're not playing for your team, what are we doing? I mean, you're kind of just wasting time. So, um, I think to me, for Stetson to continue down the path of getting Georgia another shot at a national championship, the motivation can't constantly be that he's disrespected or that people are talking bad about him. Jake Fromm had that, Aaron Murray had that, David Green, Shock. I mean, Shock went through all this. The difference is that they're not, no one's been in the situation that Stetson's been in a while. I mean, Trevor Lawrence went through it in 19. But everybody was a total believer in Trevor Lawrence. Do you remember how ridiculous it was? People were saying this guy could go play right now. That's probably not super ridiculous. Although, if you look at last year at the NFL, he wasn't so hot. But people were discussing Trevor Lawrence going 45-0 at Clemson. I mean, we get into crazy stuff after a while. But that's the last time I can remember a quarterback returning, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, from a national championship to be there the next year. So Stetson's in a very unique position. I mean, Buck Blue, I guess in 1981, was certainly in this position. Stetson can't continue forever being the disrespected guy. He's probably going to get drafted in the NFL draft. I mean, that's not disrespect. um, then again, whatever you can use to motivate yourself counts. And I think he's one of the few guys that you can actually pull that off with. But, if you're in the Heisman conversation, as he is right now, yeah, it's hard to talk about you being an underdog. I mean, it's hard to talk about that forever when you were named player of the week for the country after week one. So, let's just see how this progresses. I thought Georgia obviously played very well. It's a different style. This is not sort of what we're used to, and I think people are going to have to get used to Georgia and Alabama both um, flying up and down the field with these quick, you know, I just watched a highlight of Florida. They got a drum major mace out there. Is that what I saw Anthony Richardson doing just now? What is happening out here? That was wow. Yes, it is. Someone gave him that. Someone gave him that, and he is using it. I'm very glad that is not something. Wow. Wow. I don't get that. Is he the leader of the band? I don't understand that. Anyway, I mean, I guess whatever motivates you. That is bizarre. That is truly bizarre. What about the trash can? Was it the trash can thing at Tennessee? Wow. But whatever motivates you to get you where you need to go, get you where you want to go. I don't know that you can do it all the time if you're Stetson. This coming week he'll probably pass 10 times, something like that. They really need him. Georgia needs him. He's an important part of this puzzle. A lot of the comfort that he shows while playing is evident, and they need that moving forward. And you can see, those of us who are on the field, you can hear him talking to the guys, and it's very important that I think you keep that leadership up and so forth. But I thought yesterday was about as good a performance as you can see from Stetson Bennett. Now, if he follows that up at Carolina with the same sort of performance, you got a holy Moses. Hey, this guy's probably headed to New York at this point. Guy. I mean, you're not going to win it now, but you can get the ticket punched a little bit now. And I mean, I already know Georgia people that are looking at hotels, so for this, not for the not for New York City, but for the playoff and all that stuff. So on the national championship game. So the Georgia people can feel it, they can smell it, and finally Stetson Bennett has returned to throwing 350 yards for the first time ever.